Alrighty, let's start today off with USD CAD. Now, mind you, today we do have high impact news on CAD pairs. Going to H4, you can see that the price is right now in our potential sell zone. And this sell zone is quite far from both the buy zone and this other sell zone. But to get to this sell zone, it needs to break this fail and this engulfing sell to tap into this final sell. Right, so I will only be looking for a sell over here because I think it's more worth it than selling over here or just right here. Okay, and this is quite far up from our current zone to this zone is 160 pips. So if this zone breaks, you know what to do. Right, but right now it's in our sell zone. Why did I mark it as a sell zone? It's a buy that failed over here. In the process of failing, created an engulfing sell. So now we have an EFEG sell. So what we can do or anticipate for this to happen is the H4 either closes within and creates an engulfing sell, or if it breaks, then it has to break above. Okay, so if I go into a smaller time frame on M15, we can see that in the key level itself, M15 has a lot of engulfing fails. We have a buy here that failed. Okay, we also have another buy here that failed. And if we drop down even lower, on M5, we have a buy that failed also with an engulfing sell. So EFEG sell. So what am I going to do? I will wait. So now it's about to create the second engulfing sell. So I want this M5 to close below this wick to create an engulfing sell before I enter anything, right, for low risk entries. Okay, so that is it for USD CAD. So either we press sell here and you can TP down here if you have the mental capacity to do so, but if not, just break it down, right? 20, 40, 60 pips, or even 15, 30, 45, whatever suits your style. Okay, because if it reaches here and it respects, then potentially we can look for a buy here then. But for now, we focus on a potential sell over here and we see where H4 might go. Okay, because if it breaks above, then we can wait here. Either wait here or you can scalp here for a sell, another sell over here. But if it breaks, then it's a straight shot up top. Next, GA, quite a pair that is getting popular with you guys. Alright, so GA is interesting because I mapped this I believe a few days ago or also last week. So we had a zone over here that broke. It's a fail that broke, and after breaking, it didn't really create much except for this engulfing cell. This engulfing cell is also in the black zone where it's also close to our next sell zone. So what do I do? Because it broke, it becomes invalid. So I delete everything. Okay, and oops, delete and delete. So now I won't be too confused of monitoring over here, because either it respects here and then comes here, or it doesn't and it closes below and breaks down low. It's just that, so I don't have to keep my chart sturdy for it. All right, so now it's currently in our buy zone and it just is going through our sell key level. So what do? My buy zone is comprised of an engulfing sell fail. In the process of failing, created an engulfing buy. Over here, we also have another buy, and another buy. So now it's testing the lower area. Now testing the lower area of this zone. So if H4 decides to close below this zone, then this zone becomes invalid for a buy, and we wait for it to retrace back and we can look for a sell instead. But if H4 still decides to respect our zone, the fact that it is dropping down low, but you can see rejections, the buyers are trying to kick in, and you can see the bodies of the candle lessening as it comes in. So the buyers are trying their best to push the price up. Okay, so now that it's in our zone, what do? We go to M15 first to find any setups. Currently, we don't have anything. We had a buy here that broke actually, but it also created this that tapped. Nope. it has a buy here, and if it wants to respect on the M15, it can. Okay, so now that we only have that, what do? We go to M5. M5, also nothing, right? We have nothing that is forming in here. So that's why you see the buyers, even from here, buyers, 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 and buyers. Then we have sellers. So it's battling as it comes into the key level. So what can you do? You just wait it out to find if any setups happen in this zone. Because if it continues, if the buyers continue to break the sellers and able to keep the price up, then we can look for a sell, not look for a sell, sorry, look for a buy, especially if it creates a setup. Once it creates a setup, sorry, then you may enter the market to lower your risk. Because there's no point in risking your money in something that does not have a high chance of winning in the market. Okay? So what do? We just monitor this M15 zone for now, because M5 has not created anything yet. But the sellers cannot break, right? Our H4 cannot break. So our H4 candle over here cannot close below our buy zone. Because if it does, what happens is this zone becomes a seller's zone, where the sellers took power and battled against the buyers and won. So if it breaks below, either you look for the next buy zone, or you wait for the price to retrace back up here to look for a sell opportunity instead. Okay, so that's for GA. All right, once you have entered your setup, count 40 pips, and that will be your SL. Last but not least, AU. Excuse me, one of my favorite pairs, because it's quite easy to trade. All right, sell zone, buy zone, sell zone, and engulfing buy failed. In the process of failing, we have a sell and another sell. Okay, so complete ABC for the sell. Then for the buy, that is pushing the price up over here, recently it created an engulfing sell that failed. In the process of failing, created a buy in the key level. So what do? We wait for H4 to either reach our sell zone or buy zone down here, okay, before we do anything. Once it comes, switch down to M15. If you can't find anything in M15, go to M5. Okay, it's as easy as that. All right, let's have a quick run through of yesterday pairs real quick. GJ is battling in the black zone. So now it's still deciding. Why am I saying battling? Because we were monitoring this zone over here that I told you if you wanted to scalp, you can. And if you wanted to scalp, you would have caught a sell, a buy, and another sell over here, because it was making at least EFEGs for these in the smaller time frames, right? But because it broke so many times, this zone becomes completely invalid, because price is going through it. So we know that the black zone is here, right? So what do? We either monitor this buy, because H4 has to close below this buy to reach our zone over here, and it created this, right? So if you want to monitor GJ, you can still use my key levels. Oops. You can still use my key levels because they are still very much valid, right? They are the zones that I've drawn. But GJ created this. An engulfing sell meets an engulfing sell. So with this power on H4, there's a high chance that the sellers are trying to push the price down here. Okay, the buyers just have to give up for a bit first for the sellers to reach our buy zone. Then you can start looking for buy opportunities over here. All right, but if it breaks above, then we know we have a sell zone, the limit of the whole movement that has not been reached since 2016. Okay, so we wait patiently for GJ. Still use my key levels. UJ, same thing. It's traveling the black zone, nothing much yet, so we wait for a sell here and a buy here. And EA broke my H4, which was a very good H4 buy zone, because it flew for more than 600 pips. But it just goes to show you that nothing is for certain in the market, and you can never predict how the market moves. You can only analyze from history. and how people reacted to it. Okay, but how the market decides to move has a mind on its own. So our H4 broke. Okay, why do I have yellow lines? Let me just move it up. Okay, so since our buy H4 zone broke over here, what can we do? We just wait for either the H4 to retrace back into our key level to look for a sell opportunity, or you just look for the next buy zone for a buy. Okay, so that's it for all the pairs, for the 3 pairs today and the 3 pairs from yesterday. Please trade smart, trade wisely. Do not rush into something if you cannot find any setups, because it's not worth risking your money for something that is, I'm not going to say sure because nothing is sure in the market, but at least have a high chance at winning. Okay? If you want to risk your money, make sure you know how much money you are going to lose in that setup before you cutting or before hitting your stop loss, because if you do not calculate properly, it will affect you. Okay, so I'll talk to you again soon, and I'm gonna get to your messages. All right, bye.